These are affirmations that you can say to yourself at any time, but I did want us to have something to open with. So these are the official KMB, which is Keep Me Blessed affirmations, until I come up with something different. I did want you guys to chime in and kind of help create it. I put it in the Telegram channel, but you guys didn't. So I created this and I wanted to share it with y'all. And then, like I said, you guys can screenshot it, save it, whatever. Just to kind of say to uplift your spirit. You can either say it daily, but we will be saying it in the mornings in the beginning of the Bible study sessions. So it says, I move with softness, intention, and love. I am guided by God's divine wisdom, not the noise of the world. My steps are ordered, my mind is clear, and my spirit is at peace. I am a child of God, chosen and deeply loved. I am an heir to his promises, and all that is meant for me finds me with ease. I am fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with purpose and intention. I walk in unwavering faith, even when I cannot see the full path. I trust God. I trust that everything is working for my good. God fights on my behalf, and I am always protected. I am a survivor. I beat the odds. Every challenge I face strengthens and elevates me. I rise with resilience, courage, and quiet confidence. I live a life of abundance, prosperity, and overflow. My resources are limitless because I serve a God who created everything. I lack nothing. Everything I need is already aligned for me. I walk boldly in my purpose, anchored in faith and guided by truth. My life reflects God's goodness, and I am grateful for all that is and all that is coming. All right. So, what do you guys think? Drop in the comments. What do you guys think? So again, we are continuing the supernatural intellect. And then I'll drop the full sermon from this lesson in the Telegram, of course. The Bible is a manual for God's children to show them how to maximize spiritual law and override the natural order of things, enabling us to live a life of dominion and become first in all we do. Thank you, Kendall. So I have a few scriptures to kind of back this up. It says, all scriptures is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. That's 2 Timothy 3, verses 16 through 17. But it is the Spirit in a person, the breath of the Almighty, that gives him understanding. That's Job 32, verse 8. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be open. That's Matthew 7. Did you say something, Kendall?
You didn't hit STP.
I didn't hear nothing you said. I'm sorry. The door will be open. That's Matthew 7, verses 7 through 8. Okay. Jesus gave them this answer. Very truly, I tell you, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son does also. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he does. Yes, and he will show him even greater works than these, so that you will be amazed. I really like that last one, so I'm going to read it again, and you guys can kind of let me know your thoughts. Jesus gave them this answer. Very truly, I tell you, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son can do also. The Son also does. And also, he's talking about us too. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all he does. Yes, and he will show him even greater works than these, so that you will be amazed. And that's John 5:19 through 20. Does anybody have anything thought provoking that came from reading these verses that they would like to share? If not, then we can move on. All right, let's continue. So, inspiration, not mental exertion, is the master key to a world of supernatural intelligence. Inspiration is defined as the Spirit of God working in the spirit and mental faculty of a man. In Genesis 41, Joseph knew how to preserve food for 14 years without the use of chemicals. He never took a class on agricultural engineering. God showed him what to do. In Genesis 26, during a severe famine, despite the drought, Isaac sowed crops and reaped 100-fold harvest the same year. This miraculous harvest enabled Isaac to prosper, accumulate vast wealth and livestock and herbs, and gain significant influence among the Philistines. Yet, what he did went against all the laws of common sense when it came to sowing and reaping. And also in Genesis 30, Jacob created a vision board for cattle so that when they made it, they were born a particular color, and he became rich because of it. He received this insight because of divine inspiration, not because he went to zoology school or took a class on animal science. This outcome was not because of trial and error experiments in a lab. He knew what he was doing and what the outcome would be because of divine inspiration. Now, this was just a brief summary of, the different chapters in Genesis and how inspiration or even supernatural intellect was kind of used. But you guys can kind of go into it on your own and read the chapters. But more specifically, I did want to talk about Genesis 30 with Jacob. So I'm going to give a brief summary. I'm going to try to do my best. So basically, if y'all are not familiar with this story, Jacob, he fell in love with, I think it was Rachel, and he wanted to marry her, but her father said that he had to work for him for 7 years if he wanted to marry Rachel. So he worked for him for 7 years, and then after the 7 years was over, he actually, her father, tricked him into marrying the oldest daughter. So then he was like, well, if you want Rachel, you got to work for me another 7 years. So that was 14 years old. So he did it because he was just that in love, I guess. He did it. He worked for the man for 14 years. And then once he was, I guess, ready to go on by his way, like she had kids or whatever, they had the family. And he wanted to, move around, do his own thing, and not be up under her father's household. He was like, well, that's what this is about right here. Basically saying, like, work for me a little bit longer, and, we'll get into it pretty much. But that was kind of the background of it. I think his name is Laban. That's the father-in-law's name, if I'm not mistaken. That's how you pronounce it. So, it says, after Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way so I can go back to my homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. He added, name your wages and I will pay them. Jacob said to him, you know how I have worked for you and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you. wherever I have been. But now when may I do something for my own household? What shall I give you? He asked. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. That will be my wages, and my honesty will testify for me in the future. Whenever you check on the wages you have paid me, any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored, will be considered stolen. Agreed, says Laban. Let it be as you have said. That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had white on them, and all the dark colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob, however, took fresh cut branches from popular almond and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong to Jacob. In this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, and the female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. So that was a lot, but I hope y'all were staying with me. A few things that I highlighted that I thought that stood out that I wanted to point out. So in verse 27, it says, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. Basically, he knew that the Lord blessed him because of Jacob. And that was very interesting to me because, like, he did all these schemes with the first tricking him into marrying his oldest daughter, and then even with this, y'all seen that he took the animals and put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, kind of to like sabotage him when it came to picking out the animals, so he wouldn't have a lot of animals when he, in order to go back to his homeland. So that means he would stay and work for him longer. So he was doing all of this and basically trying to keep Jacob around because he knew that one, Jacob was anointed, and he knew that his blessings only came because of Jacob. So that kind of made me think, like, we see that in everyday life as well. Like, you definitely gotta like watch who you hang around or watch who you keep around you, because some people are only trying to eat off you or benefit from what the Lord is doing in your life. So I thought that was really good. And also it says, well, pretty much the same thing. But Jacob said to him, like, you know that you are only where you are when it comes to like wealth and your livestock because of me. And you only had little before me, but when I arrived, what you had increased greatly. So that also goes into what I was just saying. It says, the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been, which is crazy. But then I also want to highlight the fact that it says, but now when may I do something for my own household? And that also reminded me of, like, don't be so consumed with pouring into others, or, like giving others or sharing with others, even like parts of yourself. Like, just give. even if it's not physical, if it's like mental, you're giving so much to other people that you don't have anything for yourself. Like he was doing all of this and making Laban so rich, but he didn't really have anything for his own household. So that was something else that I wanted to touch on. Go ahead, Kendall.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. This one it reminds me of the call from I think Friday or yeah, when we were talking about how like the 9 to 5 situation and how like you're giving all your time, all your energy, all your ideas and stuff like that to a company and making them more rich and a lot more money and just like an overall better environment. But like it's just you investing so much time in them and not really pouring into yourself. So it's like that's what this one here kind of reminded me of. Like, but now when may I do something for my own household? Like it's just when time to take care of myself. Pour into me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. All right. A few other things I wanted to point out. Um, it says, "What shall I give you?" He asked, and then he replied, "Like, don't give me anything." And that was such a interesting response because he could have said, "Well, I want everything. I want all of this. Like, this is pretty much my work, my doing. So, I want all of this, or at least half." But he said, "Don't give me anything." He was like, I don't know if humble is the right word to use, but he didn't really like, abuse the situation like he could have. He was like, "Don't give me anything, but just give me the speckled or the dark colored animals." And he asked for that, and still Laban still wasn't able to do that. He still wanted to sabotage. He still wanted to move with like ill intent. And then it says, "And my honesty will testify for me in the future." And I feel like I guess that was like showing integrity pretty much. Like, he was like, "I'm going to be honest. And if you do find anything or any animal that's not speckled or spotted or dark, it will be considered stolen." Like, he still moved with so much grace and, intention, and I feel like in honesty, and I feel like he was also very patient throughout this whole process. And something else that stood out to me was the fact that he didn't complain. Like, not once did he complain when he were, you know, had to wait for the wives, or even when he first said that he wanted to marry Rebecca, and then Laban told him initially 7 years. Like, nowhere did it say. I mean, he probably did complain. They just didn't write about it. But I'm just saying, like, they didn't highlight the part that he, you know, complained or anything like that. He just always moved a certain way, and I feel like that is very commendable, and that part should definitely be highlighted. And y'all see the last part when he was basically like placing the branches in front of the animals, or drawing on them a certain way and facing them a certain way and mating them together a certain way. It was so strategic, and he was able to produce um, speckled or spotted and dark colored um, animals. And I feel like that was just crazy because nobody would think to do that. So that had to be like divine wisdom, divine insight, because how would you even have known to do something like that? So those were some things that kind of stood out to me. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to share or add on? Go ahead, Mom.
I just want to touch on what Kendall said and what you just said. So I feel like just like the father-in-law, like Kendall was saying, how it kind of relates or lines up today, how it is on the job, like when you work in like a 9 to 5 or whatever. The job is built up the same way. Like his father was being shisty, but the jobs be the same way. Like they'll like try to get as much out of you, knowing that they're not willing to pour back into you, or they're not willing to provide certain benefits, or they don't care what you're going through personally or how the job is taking a toll on you, because they'll replace you right away. So just like he kept using him and using him and using him up till he couldn't use them no more, I feel like a lot of jobs do that as well. And then also like the part where you were saying how like it was just divine intervention, or you know, a God given inspiration as far as how to go about the separation or come up with the agreement. I feel like that too. Like when you're on a job, there's certain people that are touched by God that bring, innovation or growth to that
Mm-hmm.
company. And that company just takes that, or they'll take ideas from lower level people
Mm-hmm.
and not properly credit them. Um, and then also, I think that sometimes it relates because sometimes when you are a God fearing person, sometimes you can be too nice, and sometimes you can let certain situations go on too long.
Mm. Yeah, that was good. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's continue. So, again, some key things that I just want to retouch on or highlight. We see watch out for people who only want you around based on what you can do for them, and also like your anointing. Don't be so consumed with pouring so much into others that you forget to water your own garden. Nothing or no one can stop what God has for you. So we see that he was continuously trying to, throw obstacles his way to get him to stay longer. But at the end of the day, we see what happened. And then also continue to move gracefully with integrity, even when you're dealing with someone with ill intent. Don't complain, be patient, and trust the process. Stay calm, don't jump the gun. Balance acting strategically with having faith and divine intervention. It's kind of like what you were just saying. And then make sure you are able to hear God's voice. Then be obedient to be able to receive what he has for you. And then lastly, we see the difference between earthly wisdom, which is used by Laban, which was selfish, deceitful, etc., soon producing lack in the end, and divine wisdom, which was used by Jacob, which was strategic, intellectual, and spiritual. No human being would have thought of it alone. And then this soon was made him able to produce harvest, wealth, and an abundance in the end. It made the righteous. It may take the righteous longer, but in the end, they always come out on top. So those were some key themes. I do have a few questions that I would like for us to answer. So I'm just read them like always, and then you guys can kind of, you know, pick and choose which one or which questions resonate with you that you would like to answer. So Jacob uses special rods and branches to influence breeding. Was this a scientific method, a test of faith, or just superstitious manipulation? How did God intervene in this scenario to ensure Jacob's prosperity, especially when Laban consistently changed the terms of the agreement? What does Jacob's ultimate success tell us about relying on our own cleverness versus relying on God's power? And then lastly, how can we maintain integrity in our work even when dealing with difficult or unfair people, as Jacob did with Laban? Go ahead, Kenda.
I want to answer the last question about how can we maintain integrity in our work even when dealing with difficult or unfair people, as Jacob did with Laban. So Jacob had like a a goal in mind or like a vision as far as like what he wanted for himself. And he has like a certain character about himself, and like it's just he's not allowing individuals' actions to alter his character and sway him from his values and stuff like that. And instead, he's using stuff that are taking place as like some type of um, like he's even trying to like find something positive out of it, or like just not really fall into like a negative mindset when going through all of the stuff that is happening. Like just making the best out of this situation, even though that he is getting done bogus and is experiencing the things that he are experiencing. So I would say how we can maintain integrity is just by like trying to positive reinforce whatever it is that we going through. Like if somebody do you dirty or something like that, like just try to, okay, well I'm glad it happened now and not when I'm CEO of a certain company or I'm at like a pivotal point in my life where I'm doing well, X, Y, and Z, and having to deal with ill people then, and just just trying to turn a negative into a positive, regardless of what's going on, you know. And, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Something that you just made me think about was you were talking about his character, and I feel like that is so interesting because it just popped into my head that this is the same Jacob who stole his brother's blessing. I think it was Esau, his blessing. So it's like we see a shift, kind of like you kind of stole your brother's blessing, and then but now you're moving with like integrity and grace and all that. And I feel like that also kind of just highlights how God can kind of change us as well. Like, and that's kind of what I was talking about yesterday, and I had posted in the Telegram. Like, God, the things that we go through or adversity isn't to punish us, because that's not really like God's character for his children, I guess you could say, at least. But he wants to purify us, and he wants to get the glory out of transforming us and making us righteous and making us whole and more like him. So I feel like the fact that he did kind of make that shift, like they don't say it verbally, but we can just see the difference and like the way he's moving. Even though his mom kind of was the one to kind of get him to do that, that wasn't like all him when it came to his brother Esau. But um, I don't know. I guess that just made me think of like anybody can change pretty much, and you can always, even if you feel like you're too far gone, you can start just trying to move differently or intentionally in with God. So that just made me think about that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like who do change, like it always stems from something higher, like a higher purpose as to like why they're changing. It's not ever because of like a person or something on like the physical plane. Like I feel like true change always comes from something higher, something that's not really on. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Go ahead, Marnie. Marnie.
Oh, sorry. So I got like a quick question, a quick statement. So I kind of feel like, um, I think we know this has happened a lot with me. I can, like, kind of this resonates a lot with me in situations that I've been. I feel like we know when people are not being good people. We know when they're trying to, continuously sabotage. And I feel like it's easy not to react once you know the other side of it, because my mind instantly goes like, you better stop, like, because it ain't coming from me. Like, I already know what's about to happen. And it's like a different type of elevation, even when they're trying to do different tactics and things like that. I think it just makes you more organized, just making sure that your things are on point. And you really don't have to react to anything because you got like a higher power
Mm.
working on your behalf. You know what I mean? That's going to really set the record straight. But then the other question that I thought about was when we pick certain things, right? Because this person said, I want this person, I want this person, right? I don't know. It didn't get detailed. It's to say that um, God wanted him to have that person. But because he wanted that person, he kind of went through all of these trials and tribulations and things of that sort and gave up 14 years. It just popped in my mind. I wonder if he consulted with God first, would he have gone through all of the rigmarole? So even relating that back to us, like when we pick certain things and we don't consult God, does that cause us to go through certain things that we necessarily wouldn't have experienced? Versus if I consult, is this my wife? Is this my person? Or where is my person? It's a smoother transition. That was just a thought.
That was good. That was good. Go ahead, Mom.
That was really good. I actually never even thought about that. Like, we just always assume that, okay, Rachel was Jacob's person. But like you said, like, who said that? God didn't say the Bible. God said that. Anyway, and he wanted her because she was pretty.
Right, I was about to say that. That's really what it was, because she
Okay,
looked
so
good.
that was good. That was good. But you done made me forget what I was going to say. Let me go back to the question. It was about one of these questions. Okay. So the two middle questions. I just feel like a quick answer to that popped in my head for the second question was, how does God's intervention in the scenario ensure Jacob's prosperity? Because it just brings the phrase to my mind that God will. You got me drawing a blank after that Rachel thing. That God will turn certain people's evil around for your good. Mm-hmm. Like what somebody meant as evil for you will ultimately be turned around for your good. Mm-hmm. That's what that question made me think of. And then the part about relying on our own cleverness. Like when you put it in God's hands, He will bless you and also get that person back way better than you could ever even think to do yourself. But a lot of times we get emotional, we be in our feelings, and we want that revenge and we want that get back ourselves instead of letting God handle it. So that's what the second question made me think about. And then also I wanted to say real quick, this kind of relates to what me and you was talking about, Marnie. Kennedy, your comment relates to what a discussion that me and Marnie previously had. So you were saying how it's interesting that Jacob was just this good person and he did all these good things when it came to a man that was being malicious towards him. But then he turned around and did a role reversal and he became a malicious person when I can't recall. I can't recall if Esau did anything to deserve that or whatever. But me and Marnie was having a discussion about this guy we used to work with. And he used to always try to do things like the sideways, the wrong way, the shiesty way. And we used to be like, okay, well, you don't even have to do all that. We don't want to do things like that. We're not going to be a part of that, da, da, da. And this other guy used to look at the scenario like, I don't understand, like, why you still do business with him. Eventually, his shiesty habits are going to rub off on you. And I used to be like, nah, like, I would never move the way he moved. But sometimes unintentionally that will creep in. Like that's all about, birds of a feather flocking together, or more so the company that you keep. Mm-hmm. Like you may think that you're the good influence or you can influence them to become the better person and they'll end up influencing you. So he used to always say that, like, you need to start working with him. His bad habits are his shifty habits are going to rub off on you. And I used to be like, man, I would never. But when I would get in a situation where, and this was like a real estate business. So just to add some context, when I would get into a situation and my back was up against the wall and I would need to close a deal, I would start thinking of what he would do, or like I could do this. And then I would be like, no, now I'm acting like him. But the fact that the thought even entered my mind means that there was influence there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important to think about.
Yeah, that was good. Um,
That was good, G.
what else was I gonna say? That kind of made me think about that last comment you just made me think about, was that actions, they always stem from ideas first. And that's why you can kind of take that a few different ways, but that also is why, like, I feel, which I know this is not true, I'm still learning this, but I feel like the things that people do are like calculated and intentional at a certain extent, because like you don't just do, you know what I mean? Like whatever you do is led by something. Like, so like you were saying, like that thought had popped into your
It's
mind.
in you.
Yeah. So like that thought just popped into your mind. It came from, the things that he used to do. So it's like the things that you do, or the things that you like, it's all connected. It's all led by something. That just made me think of that. But real quick, when you guys were talking about, sorry, let me go back to my telegram. When you guys were talking about, or when you said, Mom, that the Lord always moves on your behalf, and He can use, you know, quote unquote bad people for His good. I feel like he's done that like throughout history. We've seen that even with the Israelites, and how he would use like other nations or other religions to still carry out his will. And then even we see that now, like with Trump and stuff like that, like even like people who you may necessarily not like, or the people who you can tell are not covered by God or have a relationship by God, but the things that they do will ultimately, you know, result in God's plan or His will. But I just wanted to kind of reread this if you guys missed it. Like yesterday, I was reading Isaiah 48, and he was talking about God not destroying Israel, which is like His chosen ones, His children, not because of His own merit, but because of His name's sake and His glory. And He has to be faithful and keep His word. And really, there's nothing that we can do to earn God's love, but He gives it to us for free. So God uses trials to purify us rather than punishing us, not disregarding us because we aren't perfect, but molding us and redeeming us to show His grace and His power. And I feel like that's again what I was talking about with Jacob, how um, he was pretty much purified and he was molded by God. You could tell that he grown a closer relationship to God from then and now. That's how he was able to, you know, get that divine wisdom or that divine intellect from God to be able to, still prosper after Laban and, all his mess. But it just shows that he wants the glory from from transforming us, but also going back to maintaining integrity. God also knows that we don't deserve this, but He extended to us anyway because of His character. That's who He is. Therefore, we should extend the same love and grace and mercy to others, regardless of if we feel like they deserve it or not. God has no ego and pride, even though He could. He could have these things. He could move a certain way, but just like Jacob, He could have told him, actually, I want all of this, or at least I want half of this, because, this is all mine pretty much. I did all of this. But He didn't. He chose to move with love and intention. So I feel like we should do the same. And another part I wanted to highlight was the character part. Like, God moves certain ways because it's like laws that He has to, you know, He don't have to do anything, but at the same time, like, He has to do these if He wants to uphold His character. And we all know that He can't lie. He can't go back on His word. He has to stay faithful. So this is like His character, and that just made me think, like, you can't let certain people or certain situations get you out of your character. And I feel like with me, like you were saying, I kind of want to be the one to like make sure that you got yours, or like make sure it gets back to you. I kind of want to play that judge role, but that's not my place. That's God's place. So I feel like with me, it's harder for me to like kind of let go of certain situations, or um, Martin, you don't have to put your hand down, bro. Like, just be patient. We're talking about patience here, too. Just be patient. Because I don't want to forget you if you put your hand down. But anyway, um, yeah, so I try not to do. Now I just don't even remember what I was saying. Um, but yeah, I guess, like, don't let people kind of get you out of your character. Leave the end result up to God, because in the end, if you continue to move with grace and love, His qualities, you'll receive, the abundance, or you'll receive what God has for you, and then ultimately they'll receive what God has for them by them moving that way. So, just stay in that, stay centered and grounded in God and move with intention, I guess. Go ahead, Martin.
My bad. I had just came off because I knew you was talking, and I know we got time as of the essence. But one
Oh,
thing
I
that
don't even know what
resonated
time
with
it
me
was.
that I I can say is different is two situations. One when my brother was murdered. Um, I know, and initially, people was like, "Oh, we gonna find them. We gonna do this, that, and the third."
Mm-hmm.
And as bad as I heard it, I also knew something was just different about my thought pattern.
Mm.
And I just got real quiet because I'm like, I feel like God gonna do it. And although it was like, no, like, I'm just like, and then another crazy thing happened where I was like, man, I'm praying for them
Mm.
because I know what's about to happen. I don't know when it's gonna happen. I don't know how it's gonna happen. And we'll probably never know because we don't have to know. But what I do know is God was there. He saw everything. So while we going crazy speculating and oh
Mm-hmm.
such, it's like I got this. I was there. You wasn't there. So let me do this. And I know that could be hard because it's like, well, do you not care? Of course I care,
Right.
but I want the highest possible judgment. And that can't come from me, you, or nobody else. It
Mm.
can't. All it can do is cause further confusion. And the other one was the shoot. And, it was a situation with my go in the room real quick with my granddaughter real quick, and all her mom was very she had just flipped the script and clowned real bad, tried to keep her from us, and we were in right. And it was like all this stir up. It was real heavy, and I noticed when I get real quiet, I be feeling like I forget that it's an old school show that used to come on when somebody would think real hard and maybe shift something, and so I just get really quiet in really tough situations, and I knew as bad as it hurt, I'm like, if we stay the course and we don't do anything malicious,
Mm.
we are going to prevail. And every time, I'm not kidding. I don't care what the situation look like. I want to encourage y'all. If you don't touch it, don't send nobody, don't say nothing back. Let them melt in their turmoil. You are always gonna prevail. Promise to God, I've never seen God forsake
Mm.
ever in any situation. So those are the two scenarios that I wanted to say.
That was good. Thank you for sharing that. But something that you said that I wanted to point out real quick, and then you can go, Mom. We still got 10 minutes. The call, well, it's in at 8, but the call gonna end in 10 minutes. Something you said when you were like, everybody was like going crazy, was saying we gonna find him, we gonna do this. I feel like for you to even still be somewhat calm or grounded when it was so much outside noise is crazy, because even nowadays, like, we hear like when someone does pass away or get murdered, oh, I gotta get back, and everybody is just hyping up like get back, do this, do that, and third. And to go off topic, that's kind of what happened a little with the whole King Von and Lil Durk situation. and Lil Durk in jail. He probably not in jail. He probably in jail for a lot of stuff, but still, like you get what I'm saying. Like everybody will hype you up and get you to that point. Like how do you even block out the noise to just stay grounded? Like that's the part that I'm struggling with. Like you just get so hyped up, like it's hard to just like come down from that and still move like a certain way.
Yes, it's my fear though, my fear in God, because
Mm.
it's like if I touch you, or if I send somebody for you, get back is not organized. It's not like the way I get you, you're gonna get me, and it's unpredictable. So that's what keeps me from putting my hands in it, because I also have children, and it's unpredictable. One sunny day you could be, and bam, you know what I mean. So it's like the only thing I can do is give it to him, because he know. But if I do it, I get what they did, and now I'm a part of it. So it's like, and all of my family is a part. Like everything is up for grabs. So it's kind of like that'll make you sit on your hands. Like I can't touch it, because if I touch it, the gloves is off. It's no man. Anything can happen now, especially when you know better. Now, when you don't know better, that's something different. But because we know, and you did it anyway, man, that repercussion is just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So you just got to kind of find another way.
And the last thing I want to say before you go, Mom, is like another thing. Even when it comes to like something not as physical or as serious as that, though, but like also I've noticed that energy harvesting is a real thing, and people will try to like upset you or get you to a certain place. Like I feel like when I know like fear and anger is like the top two like energies pretty much, and like when someone can get you like upset or mad or anything like that, like that is like energy harvesting. Like I feel, and even like when I get so upset or I get so mad, like I just feel so drained and tired afterwards, and that's just like no, like it's not supposed to be that way. Even if like the person isn't doing it intentionally, it's like that spirit is. It's like a spirit that just come over you and try to like harvest all of your energy, and like so whether that be like if I gotta get it from fear or anger or whatever the case may be. So that's like another thing that kind of opened my mind up, because you were talking about like a more physical situation, but I was talking about more so like a conflict, a smaller conflict, and that's pretty much it. Like I don't even want to let that side get, my energy pretty much. So I'm going to just sit on my hands, or I'm not going to say anything because I don't even want, that to come out of me type of thing, I guess. Go ahead, Mom. I hope you didn't forget what you were going to say.
So to kind of touch on your question, like how do you even do that? Like Marty said, it is a fear of God. It is knowing that, okay, he done already told me if I take this into my own hands, not only is this person gonna get it, but I'm gonna get it too for being disobedient. So when you have a certain level of fear in God, that will make you sit on your hands. One. Two, I think that when you have a certain amount of spiritual strength and faith in God, even in the toughest situations, you will have peace that he'll handle it, and what's supposed to happen with that other person will happen. So it's like you can't have partial faith. You can't have faith in everything else that God says and then not have faith that that person is going to get what's coming to them, because he said he will handle it. He said that in his word. And then once you accept that, what I've noticed in my personal situations is like, I know some people, and I know the call about the end, I'm gonna try to wrap this up quick. I know some people that'll use that as motivation to push them forward. Like, I'm gonna show this person, you know, I'm gonna be the best that I could be so I can show this person. And I tried to be that person. Like, you know what? All these people that did me wrong, they gonna see, you know, when I make it to where I'm going. But then I'm like, when I'm not gonna even care. Like,
Exactly.
those people are not even a thought in my head. Like, they did what they did. They wasn't meant to be a part of this story. Like, I want to be at a point where I don't care if they see the glow up. I don't care if how it makes them feel. Like, I want them to be such a non-factor and such not a thought in my head that that don't even matter no more. So I've come to a place where I have that peace where God will give them whatever is meant to come to them, but I just need to focus on me, and I don't care if they ever get what's coming to them or how it's coming to. Like, I don't even want to look back and wonder, like, oh, I wonder what happened to them. Like, I don't even care about that no more. But what I was gonna say initially was just that sometimes your glow up will be the get back, because some people are so vengeful and they hate to see you win so bad that your simply your glow up and God blessing you will be like a turmoil in their soul. Like, some people are just that far gone.